Hi, I'm Terry Getz.
And I'm Valia Glitzis, and we're coming to you from Speak Your Truth, Change Your Life Story. And this is the second part of our three-part video series on really unearthing what the heck your story has to do with your life and how to get you to be the agent of telling and crafting and really understanding your story. So last time we spoke about the impact of the mind on the story and talked about language, about thoughts. Today we're going to take it one step deeper and actually explore what a disempowering story, how that manifests in your actual body. And it sounds silly because we think your story, your body, but there's a very physical effect on your body, on your environment, even on your emotions when it comes to being misaligned with your story.
Yeah, I mean, we think of it as something sort of theoretical, right? Because we're using words to create a story, whether it's outwardly or inwardly. But the effect of your story really does manifest in your own physical body and in your physical surroundings. And we're going to tell you a couple of different ways how that happens. So as an acupuncturist, I really saw this all the time. I mean, we all know or have heard about the impact of stress on our bodies. And stress, where does stress come from? But from our lifestyle, and our lifestyle comes from our thoughts. So remember, we talked last time about how our thoughts create our emotions, which then dictate our actions. So our thoughts really do create the story that we tell ourselves, and then our body eventually at some point, it kind of breaks. It can't take it anymore. It can't take the stress. And one of the reasons why I actually stopped practicing acupuncture was because while it's an incredible modality, for me what I really noticed was that women were getting better but landing on the table again. And why? Because they didn't change their mindset, and the mindset is all about your story. So how does it physically manifest in your body? It could be, I saw a lot of skin disease, a lot of rashes, a lot of eczema, flare up every time someone was stressed. I can't even tell you how many times I saw herpes zoster show up on the skin from stress.
Wow.
Constantly. There's also a lot of, heart palpitations, anxieties, digestive disturbances, obviously headaches, neck pain, back pain. All of those things come from constricting our muscles and thinking about how much stress we have, and the story we keep telling over and over again. I mean, I'm sure you may be one of these people. I know I was, or you may know people who are always kind of talking about how I'm so stressed, I'm so busy. I mean, and it becomes this big drama. And what I always say, it's like she who suffers more wins. I don't know what that is, but we all have this, like, the more we get. The busier we are, the more, I don't know, kudos we get for it or something. So that translates into a physical manifestation, and Valia can speak to that actually.
Yeah, and to the point of, I think, having kudos for how busy we are, I think it really is, it almost become a status symbol.
Yes.
I'm busier, I have a crazy schedule, and we talked in the last video about the power of words. That language really integrates into our physical body and starts having an effect. My story to share with all of you is several years ago I was on that busy train. I call it a treadmill because I felt like I was just going achievement after achievement after achievement, and while there's a thrill to getting there, the thrill lasts moments, right? Like all of us. And I took a step back only when I had to, when I was suffering quite a few panic attacks and what became just, weird heart palpitations like you were saying here, then weird sweating, then getting up in the middle of the night and not being able to breathe became significantly worse, like not being able to function the way I should be functioning, even though on the outside things were quite normal and quite successful to an outside person. And that's one of the things that I find so fascinating about the power of story, is that we always think, okay, when we'll talk about this in a second, cause and effect are just so closely linked.
Right.
My life was perfectly happy. And like your acupuncture practice, you only see the manifestations at a later point. So back to the story, I had bouts and bouts of panic attacks. It lasted almost a year, actually. And it stopped cold turkey when I took the power, rather, of looking inward and starting to tell my own story. Because what I had done to date, and really my entire life, was tell the story that other people wanted to hear from me. So if I were, let's say, at one event, it would be one version of the story. If I were with another friend and had to fit in that perspective, I would tell a different version of the story. And it was all a manifestation, I think, of just not feeling good enough or not feel like I belonged. So I would try and do everything I could to fit in and to really shape the story that I thought they wanted to hear about me, not the story that I wanted to tell. And I think when something manifests physically, like panic attacks, anxiety attacks, all the physical symptoms that you were saying before, we have no choice anymore to ignore it.
Yeah.
And that's one thing that I think we are just so grateful for our bodies, because they will loud and clear. We may ignore some other things, but we're certainly not going to ignore those types of physical manifestations.
Right.
So to me, my real key takeaway was, it's not an option not to be the writer of your story, because the impact of having it written for you can get extremely dangerous, even
Right.
physically.
Right, and also to sort of piggyback on that in terms of the physical, it's not just the physical is not just our body, right? It is our environment,
Yes.
and it's the things that we don't clean up in the apartment. It's the the boxes in the corner that we've ignored for months and months that just start looking like part of the woodwork, and the excuses that we tell ourselves. So the effect is that our apartment is a mess, or our desk is a mess. And it's the cause that really needs to change. The cause is the thought. So we have to look around your environment and see how important the environment is to creating the kind of relationships you want to make, the contact you want to make with other people. How are you feeling when you get out of the house in the morning? Are you feeling pulled together? Or are you completely scattered because you can't find your iron? Or you can't, where's your jewelry? Did I leave that in my pocketbook? All of that is really a symptom of the story that you're telling yourself about what you're capable of and where you stop. It's also kind of a self-sabotage.
Mm-hmm. And I love what you said before. I think about the relationships. We don't realize that our relation to other people, even the passion in our with our partners, of friendships, that is also an extension of this environment.
Yes.
If we're living in this place of busyness, of the to-do list, of the boxes in the corner, and we're not addressing the root cause of that, whether we want to or not, we think we can control that. I think control is an interesting word to throw into this conversation.
Yes.
You're really not controlling it, because it is implanted in the way that you're showing up.
Yeah, and the way your story really is indicative of the way you're showing up. And so your physical environment is hugely important. And one of the ways you can make an impact on your environment, besides literally spending some time every day and organizing your environment, is to change your environment completely, to take yourself out of your environment and put yourself into a new one. And that's what we wanted to create for Speak Your Truth, Change Your Life Story, was a completely new environment where it's conducive to changing your story, mind, body, and spirit. So we really hope that you take advantage of that opportunity to create the change on these different levels and these deep, deep levels. So we're going to just tell you about our event a little bit.
Absolutely. We want to invite you into our conversation, and our event is next month, October 18th through the 20th. Speak Your Truth, Change Your Life Story. It is, I'm going to put a stake in the ground and say, unlike any other event that we've certainly been to, and we've been to a ton. It's really integrating, like Terry was saying, mind, body, spirit, all dimensions in a very intensive coaching format, while allowing group masterminding, really connecting with like-minded women. We are keeping it to 25 women, and bridging that with the experience, talking about environment, luxury environment, where you don't need to think about anything, where we are literally keys at the door and inviting you into this world of peeling back your story, looking at all the layers, on all these dimensions that we're talking about, and giving you the tools to help you rewrite it so that you are the author and the heroine of your story.
Yeah. So we just invite you to go to www.changeyourlifestorynow.com, take a peek, and if it appeals to you, you'll know right away. Just put your information in the Discover More box, and we'll give you a call, I keep saying this, but a very short call to just make sure it's the right fit for you. So we can answer any questions, and we can get to know you just a little bit, because we're very hands-on, and we really want this environment to be perfect for everyone. So go to changeyourlifestorynow.com, and we will see you on the next video when we talk about spirit.